focusing on winning arguments, we're teaching the basic fundamentals of sales and marketing and how we can use them to win in the world of politics, teaching you how to meet people where they're at on the issues they care about. Welcome to The Brian Nichols Show.
Well, happy Tuesday there, folks. Brian Nichols here on The Brian Nichols Show, and thank you for joining us on, of course, another fun-filled episode. I am, as always, your humble host, joining you from the Stratus IP studios. Don't let cybersecurity threats or outdated technology slow down your business. Go ahead and learn more how you can have Stratus IP help your business technology over at briannicholsshow.com/Stratus IP. Stratus IP, business technology simplified. Folks, I am so excited for today's guest. But before we go ahead and introduce today's guest, because he's a returning guest, I do want to go ahead and give a quick shout out to today's sponsor, and that is Young Americans for Liberty. Now, folks, I'm a big fan of Young Americans for Liberty. They're an amazing group, and they have a great opportunity for you if you're interested in jumping headfirst into the Liberty movement, and that is with Operation Win at the Door. So, folks, and by the way, our today's guest, this is exactly where I last saw this guest. So maybe that will be a nice little sneak peek for those of you playing along in the home game. But no, for Young Americans for Liberty, folks, Young Americans for Liberty, they're currently recruiting campaign field staff to help elect pro-liberty candidates across the country as part of Operation Win at the Door. And these principal candidates are dedicated to fighting for gun rights, keeping our troops home, parental rights and education. That's right, school choice, and helping end our senseless spending. Also, focusing on other many winning liberty policies. And when I say winning, I mean it because their work speaks for itself. These are the guys and gals who helped pass constitutional carry in Indiana, Texas, and Alabama, fought the lockdowns every step of the way, all while helping make liberty win. So if you want to help make the difference and get liberty candidates elected across the country and be a part of the fight and actually make an impact in our insane political climate here in 2022, you can join one of these campaigns now through November 8th, gas-covered housing fully provided for, and you'll be compensated a total of $2,800 a month for your work on the campaign trail. Head to briannicholsshow.com/YAL to apply and make a real change in this country today. That's briannicholsshow.com/YAL. Let's make liberty win. briannicholsshow.com/YAL. And yeah, how do you make liberty win? Well, first it starts with building a culture of liberty. How do we do that? Well, let's figure that out. Spike Cohen returns to the program to talk about that. Spike, how you doing, my friend?
I'm doing fine, Brian. Thanks for having me on, man. It's always a blast to be on here.
Absolutely, Spike. It was great to see you a couple times here. Actually, I forgot. We saw each other twice recently. First was back at Young Americans for Liberty, and then I forgot you were just here in Indiana. We got to hang out there. We have a lot of local libertarians running for state and local office. That was a great time to hang out with you there. And you've been doing a lot of travel, my man. How are you keeping up with the travel schedule where you're, I think, across the United States every other day, it seems?
So this is something I don't usually tell people, but I'm amongst friends. I'm actually identical triplets.
That makes sense.
You're meeting Spike, and we were all named Spike, which is just whatever. Yeah. But it ended up working out well because it's allowed us to really synergize on our shared work. You're actually talking to Spike 2, who was born 8 minutes after Spike 1. So no,
this episode airs today at 6 p.m. because I know Spike, I think 3 or maybe 4 even is going to be on Kennedy tonight at 7, right?
Yes. Spike 3 will be on Kennedy. Wow. This Spike will be napping, and Spike A will be preparing a delicious breakfast for the three of us. No, so believe it or not, my schedule, I mean, it's definitely very packed, but people expect that. They see me so much online. They see me at all these different events across the country. Everyone just assumes like I don't ever sleep. I just have a very efficient schedule because I actually do sleep and I get a lot of time off and I get to spend time with Tasha, my wife, and get to go and like yesterday I took off completely. I didn't do anything. So I actually have a much more leisurely lifestyle than a lot of people would think. During the campaign, I had 0 seconds to myself. It was wake up at 3 a.m., go to bed at midnight, repeat 3 hours later. But no, I actually get a lot more time off than a lot of people think.
Yeah, well, and let's talk about because you go out and by the way, be right there. I was late, by the way, folks. I was running late today because day job also happens, real life happens.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's busy because we're out there trying not only build up our day jobs and build up our businesses, but also build up a culture of liberty. And that goes
Yes.
there's a lot there to that, Spike. Talk to us about what you've been focusing on behind the scenes, right? And there's a lot you've been doing on more of a platform, right? More on a stage, but behind the scenes, there's a lot you've been focusing on. Let's first start there. You Are the Power. That's an organization you've been focusing on building to help
Yeah.
folks who are looking to find resources when they're going out to communities, trying to help build this culture of liberty. So let's start there. What is You Are the Power, and how is it going to help us build this culture of liberty?
Well, I mean, I think you actually just sold it better than I could. So I no. So here's what we're doing with You Are the Power. There is a recognition that needs to be made within the liberty movement that everything that we try to do right now, including, like, for example, the stuff Yal is doing with Win at the Door, they've gotten close to 300 statewide state legislative elective officials, liberty friendly candidates elected across the country. They fought for concealed carry, constitutional carry. They fought for school choice, like you said. They're now fighting and helping with stuff like Defend the Guard and all sorts of other stuff. That's all great stuff. But our ability to affect things on the political level are greatly, I would say, hamstrung by the fact that we have a lot of gains that need to be made at the cultural level.
Hmm.
I forget who it was who said it, but it's very true. All politics is downstream of culture. And the reason that we've been having a lot of trouble and are often fighting more in defense than offensively in fighting to get our liberties back is because the vast majority of voters don't necessarily want liberty. They like it as a catch term, or they may agree with us on one or two things, but they overall, the average normie out there thinks that the problem is that the government isn't doing enough or
Yep.
isn't doing it the right way. They often think that freedom or too much freedom is the problem. And that so we're fighting an uphill battle. And the reason we're fighting that is because at a cultural level, the average person thinks that too much freedom is bad. And so we have to, in a myriad of different ways, and we can talk about that, we have to build and grow a culture of people who recognize that we do best when we're most free, that there is no such thing as too much freedom, and that the problems that we're facing are as a direct result of too much power being in the hands of too few people, and that the answer to that problem is putting the power back in our hands where it belongs.
But talk to us, Spike, because right now, oh, my camera won't work. Here we go. There we go. I love technology. And I sell technology. It's even better. So
Yes.
talk to us, Spike. Now you're talking about the behind the scenes right now. Let's talk about
Yep.
you're going out and talking to communities. This is the stuff that's on
Yep.
the front of like the battlefield, right? We're out there face to face with people and
Yep.
we're engaging in conversation. And I think sometimes we get too caught up in the online world where it's a battle versus
Yeah.
trying to build relationships, right? We're trying to
Yes.
to own the libs or own the cons. We're trying to
Yep. Yep.
ruffle feathers, troll, versus going out and actually doing the things that are successful, not in ruffling feathers and getting people to maybe ask questions and pay attention
Yep.
beyond the piquing interest, but actually now starting to establish real means to help solve those problems. So
Yep.
what does that look like? How can we do a better job in establishing a culture of liberty now when we're going out and talking to our customers, more or less?
Well, and that I'm glad you said it as customers. You and I are of the same mind on this. Politics and spreading ideas is sales. Whether the idea is I think that you should join me on this philosophy of, people being freer and of non-aggression and respect for humans and their individual lives and autonomy, or if the idea is you should buy this from me for the low price of $5.99. Whatever the idea is, the principles behind it are the same. And the fact is, the vast majority of people, in order to be able to reach them and connect with them on why they should agree with your idea, whatever it is by doing it from the standpoint of, for lack of a better word, what's in it for them. Now, libertarians, very often we bristle at that because we came here from a philosophical standpoint, which is why we tend to be more cerebral and less based on things like, intuition and emotion. But that's how most people are. So what we're doing with You Are the Power, for example, is we're finding examples of people whose lives are being ruined by government. right? Like, and especially at the local level. These are things where, and the people in that area already know this is bad, whether we're talking about eminent domain abuse, whether we're talking about zoning boards trying to steal properties from people, whether we're talking about, police departments brutalizing people and then refusing to release body cam footage, whatever the thing is, government has abused people, and the public in that area already knows, those who know about it already know that the problem is that government's doing the wrong thing. What a perfect opportunity for us to come in, help them organize to win on that issue, to end that domain abuse, to end that zoning board abuse, to end or to force the release of body cam footage, whatever the thing is, but then use that as a springboard to bring people into the ideas of, here's why this even happened in the first place, and here's how we can fight to make sure something like this doesn't happen. And doing that has been incredibly successful in a relatively short period of time. We've only been doing this, we only launched back in April, and we've already had some incredible successes in not just winning immediate political victories, but in using it to help create and grow a culture of liberty.
Yeah, well, and you're not doing it just to go out and push buttons. You're not doing it just to
Yep.
ruffle feathers. You're doing it
No.
because it's imperative that we build long-term relationships.
Yes.
You don't fall in love with a marketing campaign. You fall in love with, after you see a marketing campaign, you use the product and you say, "Wow, this product is awesome," right?
Yes.
There's a reason
Yep.
that people put the Yeti the Yeti brand, they put the stickers on their cars. It's a water bottle. Why?
Yeah.
Why would somebody feel the desire to put a sticker for Yeti on their car? And yet people do it all the time as free marketing. Yep. And that right there is what we need to do, is we need to start building the customer to become our super fan, right? They're going to start doing the marketing on our behalf, but we don't do that by always going out and just trying to play offense. It's more so just play aggressive. You have to be smart and tactical in the way that we approach selling liberty. And I think we sometimes get stuck in trying to sell liberty in the way that we want everybody else to reaffirm us and feel that we're doing it because everybody else is doing it our way in our little circle. But part of what we need to do differently is sell liberty differently. We have to do things differently because, let's be honest, Spike, what we've been doing for the past 40, 50 years, I mean, we've been having success, I would say culturally, but from a political standpoint, and turning that into, well, yeah, that's a great point, but now it has to be beyond that. We have to figure out a way to get people to start actually embracing our solutions. And I think it starts with us actually showing them our solutions work and they're tangible. They're not just pie in the sky, great ideas that somebody read in a book once.
The average perception that someone has of libertarians, actually the typical perception they have is none whatsoever. They have no idea what a libertarian is. They've never heard of it, or they've heard briefly about it, but don't really know much about it. Those who have heard anything about libertarianism, very often, unfortunately, what they've heard or what they believe us to be is that we are selfish. We only care about ourselves, that we are very caught up in minute details that don't matter to the average person, that our ideas might sound good, but they're actually a pipe dream, they'll never work, and we don't have the wherewithal to win anyway, so why even listen to us? And very often what we have done has helped to buttress or enforce those existing prejudices against us, that we don't care, that we can't win, that we're too focused on philosophy or minute process than on people's feelings and concerns and how we can actually help them. What we're trying to do with You Are the Power, and what is a successful way, whether you're doing it through political activism, whether you're doing it through culture, through art, through music, whether you're doing it through just making conversation with individual people, we have to change that narrative. We have to show that first and foremost, we care and understand better than anyone else. Not only do we care better than anyone else. We have very real solutions to the problems that people are facing. We can make them work and implement them. They are feasible, and we can actually win. When we can do that, now the shift goes from, I don't really pay much attention to them, they're kind of a fringe group and they're kind of crazy and they don't seem to care much about anyone but themselves, to, wow, this is the new thing. This is the way to fix the problems that Republicans and Democrats have created. And this makes more sense than anything I've ever heard. But you got to get them first on understand. You got to, and I say this all the time, you got to empathize with them first. You got to show them that you understand how things work. You have to then explain how we got here, the problems that were created and what caused these problems, and then show them. Then after all of that, then show them our solutions and the philosophy behind why our way works and their way doesn't. But you have to do that other stuff first. We often go straight to step 4. This stuff is not working. This will work, and it works because of liberty. And if it doesn't intuitively connect with people, which unfortunately for most people it doesn't, whether that's because they're wired, most of us are wired differently than the normies are, or because of conditioning, or some combination of those, we have to do that time to build what, for in the sales word, we'd call brand awareness. The reason people are putting Yetis on their car is because it's not just that the water bottle is so great. They want to associate with and be associated with that brand. We have to do the same thing with liberty.
We sure do. And it starts also by getting some new candidates elected, which, by the way, folks, excited to talk about a brand new sponsor we have here on the show. So we're going to go ahead and really quick introduce them, and that is Right Strategies. Now, folks, if you're looking for someone to not only help amplify your message where both voters and your customers spend their time, look no further, because Right Strategies specializes in the unique challenges of both running political campaigns and small businesses in the digital landscape. With a proven track record of helping clients win elections and grow their businesses throughout their smart, strategic digital marketing, Right Strategies is your perfect partner to help you reach your goals. Their team of experts will help you save time and money while amplifying your message to help you win your elections and help win in the marketplace. With SMS texting from Right Strategies, you'll receive an efficient means and an affordable means to help focus your marketing budget. By helping you reach thousands of voters and customers, Right Strategies will help you make a powerful impact on the outcome of your elections and your business growth. From social media management to expert graphic design work to marketing your product or campaign, or hey, even to help building your brand for some brand awareness, Right Strategies can put together a plan that makes sense for your goals and within your budget. Want to learn more about how Right Strategies can help you win your elections and grow your business? Head to briannicholshow.com/RS and get your free campaign or your free marketing plan report card. And of course, be sure to let Morgan and the Right Strategy team know that I sent you. And of course, one more time, briannicholshow.com/RS, amplifying your message where voters and your customers spend their time. One more time, briannicholshow.com/RS. All right, Spike. So let's talk about the future, right? We talk about building the culture of liberty. Let's talk about the future for liberty, because, and this is a topic you and I talked about back when we were in Orlando there back at Young Americans for Liberty. The future for liberty, I feel, is good. I feel the energy is on our side. And yet I still see tyrants everywhere. I still see the state pushing back. I still see a lot of folks across the world not only questioning our ideas of liberty, but in many cases actively fighting against them. So while I feel the motivation, I feel the positivity, I also see where folks have the proverbial black pill. So help me find the right path. What is the path forward for liberty as you see it, Spike Cohen?
Well, I can tell you the short answer is, for each person, their path forward is what drives them the most. Like I was saying, if you're an artist, then your time, whether it's, physical medium art or film or music or whatever else, then that's probably your best way to share the liberty message and to grow a culture of liberty. If your real thing is in education, you're an educator, a teacher type of person, then that's probably the best way to do it. If you're involved in media, then that's probably your best way to do it. If you're, an activist at heart, you want to organize, get people working on the ground, that's your best way to do it. The way that I'm doing it with You Are the Power is we are finding sort of low-hanging fruit. This is where these are people that are clearly being abused by government. It is everyone involved, even the people doing the abuse, know that the government's in the wrong. The solution is already pretty much agreed to, and all we're doing is showing up and helping the locals organize because they don't feel like they have the ability to do it themselves. And what I will tell you, the white pill from that is I have met people in the last 2-3 years. I have met people across the country, all different walks of life, all different ethnicities, religions, all different backgrounds of every single type. And what I have seen is that more and more people are sick of the status quo, and they are open to almost anything. Now, that's why they often can get caught up in these really weird, really bad, in some cases worse than what it would be, replacing ideologies. But the good thing there is that means we can bring them to the ideas of liberty, but we have to show them how it benefits them. And that's something we often don't like to do. But if we do that, if we show them, demonstrate to them that liberty, that the ideas that are built around respecting human beings and their individual lives, rights, and autonomy, that if we stay consistent to that, the more we stay consistent to that, the better we actually live. that brings people into what we're doing. And I'm watching it happen full time. I'm watching, in real time, I'm watching soccer moms and pastors and people who aren't really politically active at all getting behind the initiatives that we're doing at You Are the Power, not because they're suddenly ideological libertarians, but because on every single thing we're bringing up, they agree with us. I'm also finding that there are many people that get involved with stuff that we're doing and they don't agree with us on everything. They may only agree with us on that one thing. That's fantastic. We're essentially leveraging our political opponents to help pass things that are in our mutual best interest right now. And in doing so, helping to grow the liberty movement. So there's obviously all sorts of terrible things happening. Tyranny is still as a net getting worse. But that's what usually happens. Things get worse until they get better. So I'm very happy for the future, and I'm seeing it in real time, and I just can't wait to keep moving forward.
Yeah, we don't need to go into the bunker anymore, folks. It's okay. We can come out and have a conversation. And how about this, Mike, for final thoughts? Sure. My final thought for today is it's important for us to, yes, still play offense. And I want to make sure I reiterate something from earlier. Yeah. We have an obligation to play offense. It's a matter of playing offense strategically. Smartly. Now, for those of you who know me, I am a blessed or cursed, it's your choice, Dallas Cowboys fan. And the Cowboys have lost Dak Prescott for the past few weeks here. He broke his thumb. And for those of you playing on the home game, Dak Prescott is the quarterback for the Cowboys. So having a thumb that works when you're throwing a football, kind of important. With that, very important, right, Spike? Now with that, the Cowboys had to do something. They had to adjust the way they played offense. Why? Because their backup, Cooper Rush, isn't Dak Prescott. He throws the ball differently. He leads the offense differently. And yet the Cowboys have been able to win each of their games since Dak Prescott got hurt, namely because they played offense strategically. Now, they could have gone out and they could have just thrown the long ball like Dak Prescott used to last year when they had the number one offense in the NFL, but they had to play it differently. They had to focus more on the run game. They had to actually focus a lot more on the special teams, trying to play the field game a little bit differently. So I say all that because it's important for us in the liberty movement to learn from what works in other fields, like sports, right? For example, is a great way to make the comparison, because when we're playing the game of politics, right, we have to understand that other folks are playing as well. And whether we want them to play our version of the game or not, they're still playing the game in their way. So unfortunately, we have to play the game in that way. And with that being said, play so strategically with the resources we have. So that's my final thought. Spike, what do you have for us?
Well, so going off of that same thing with team sports, a lot of people have been conditioned that the best they can hope for is if they go and find whichever team, the Republicans or Democrats, they think are somewhat less objectionable than the other team, all they can do is support that team and hope that their team wins, so they can say, oh yeah, team red won or team blue won, knowing full well that they're being lied to, that little to nothing of what's been promised is actually going to happen, and that things are probably going to get worse. We need to show people that when liberty wins, it's not just that the team wins, they actually win. Their lives get better. This status quo that we have, that you're just going to be lied to, things are just going to get worse, you're just going to have more debt thrown at you, cost of living is just going to keep going up, you're going to have more and more laws and rules that you have to follow, that we can actually undo that, not just stop it from continuing, but actually roll it back and make people's lives better. We have to show that when liberty wins, they win. It's not just some politician or some party winning, they actually win. So that would be my thoughts on that. And then the only other thing I would say is, if you want to follow what we're doing, first of all, if any of you are in or near Miami, come out to Miami for LibertyCon next month. If you go to libertycon.com, you can see the whole lineup. I'm going to be there. We're going to have a lot of fun out there. If you go to libertycon.com, and if you want to join, if you use the code SPIKE, SPIKE, you get a certain percentage off. You're not going to believe how much you save when you use the code SPIKE if you go to libertycon.com. And if you want to be involved with what we're doing with You Are the Power, we are growing the liberty movement and creating a culture of liberty, one issue at a time, one community at a time across the country. If you go to youarethepower.net, we'd love to have you become a member. And Brian, I love you, man. Thanks for having me on again.
Love you too, buddy. You're doing great things, and I cannot thank you enough, not only for joining us here in the program to help share your wisdom, but also what you're doing across the country, and in some cases across the world, if you really think about it, right, to help grow the liberty movement. What we're doing here, and I don't have to tell you this, and more so I don't have to tell the audience this is a labor of love for what we're doing in a lot of cases.
Yes.
Believe it or not, folks, there's no Coke dollars flowing into our bank accounts like the leftists like to pretend it is. This is many cases passion projects. It's nights where we're not with families. It's weekends where we're at events versus with friends. It's us spending time at events where we would want to be spending time doing other things. But at the end of the day, this is something that means more to us than just the political conversation. This is our future. And frankly, like what Spike's doing, and I mean, look at all the other liberty activists we have out there across the board. I cannot thank you guys enough. And the time, the energy, the effort, it's not unappreciated. And I cannot thank you enough for that. So Spike, again, thank you for joining us here. And folks, if you enjoyed today's episode, I mean, of course you did. Do me a favor. Please go ahead and give it a share. When you do, please tag Spike Cohen. And also please go ahead and tag yours truly at B Nichols Liberty. I'll include all of our social media links here in the show notes. And oh, by the way, if you go to your little podcast catcher, click the artwork. It'll bring you over to briannicholsshow.com, where you can find today's episode, all of the show links. Plus, you can find the entire transcript of today's episode. And you can find the links to the video version of the program. We have us over on YouTube as well as over on Odyssey. If you've not had the chance yet, hit that little notification bell, and also make sure you hit the subscribe button so you're not missing a single time we go live. And by the way, folks, I'll make sure I include yesterday's episode right here below for you go ahead and check that out. But other than that, thank you for joining us. With that being said, it's Brian Nichols signing off here on the Brian Nichols Show for the one and only Spike Cohen. We'll see you tomorrow.
For listening to the Brian Nichols Show. Find more episodes at briannicholsshow.com.